Has Sean Payton found his next Joker running back? I'm Henry Chisholm from DNVR, and we're going to dig into the tape to see if RJ Harvey fits that role. So first play we're going to look at here is one that you might remember. So it's RJ Harvey playing against the Texans. We've got one-on-one coverage here. You see Harvey, see Henry To'oTo'o, the linebacker. That's a matchup you like. RJ Harvey runs a 4.4 40. He's too fast for a linebacker to keep up with him. So let's jump ahead here a bit. You see he's closed the gap. He's up on top of the linebacker, and he's going to break outside, run right past him, has the separation, catches the ball, falls into the end zone. Easy touchdown because RJ Harvey is just too fast to be covered by a linebacker. So that's the first part of being a Joker running back. You need to be a mismatch as a receiver when you're lined up against somebody like Henry To'oTo'o, a good linebacker, a pretty fast linebacker, but a linebacker nonetheless. Part of the key, though, is for Sean Payton to move RJ Harvey around the formation to create different matchups for him. So see in this next play, he's in the backfield, and he's actually going to motion up to the line of scrimmage. And what he's going to do is he's going to chip this edge rusher right here before he releases across the field. So there's the chip. You'll notice these guys are not running routes. They're blocking. So he's going to get upfield and make a block. As we come across, you see, yep, they got him in their sights. RJ Harvey coming free across. This is a screen that RJ is running from basically a tight end position. The defense loses him because he chips that edge rusher. And all of a sudden, he's got some space. Unfortunately, block is not executed. The timing was a little bit off because they can't block until the catch is made. And what happens is it winds up getting stuffed right here, but it shows the creativity of what you can do when you have a Joker running back, and it shows RJ in that role. Again, playing as a receiver, tight end, or even a wildcat quarterback is an important piece of being a Joker because it allows the play caller to set up these mismatches for you. So what we see here, again, you have Harvey in the backfield. He's going to motion out. And all of a sudden, you've got this off coverage. This is a lot of separation. So just run the quick out while this guy's sitting back here. It's open. Nice little catch, an easy 5, 6, 7 yards. So what we've seen from RJ so far is that the Broncos are willing to use him in these different ways. Now, here's another fun one. You start with him lined up out wide. Linebacker on him. You see it's man coverage. You're going to motion him back into the backfield. Well, actually, not quite. You're going to have him sit just outside. It's an interesting alignment. And after the snap, he leaks through the line of scrimmage. Linebacker gets caught in the traffic. You have two guys there, so he can't get through. And RJ is going to catch the ball right here. He's got the easy touchdown. RJ is growing into a very good receiver. He has the hands for the job, and that's the part that sometimes is toughest to find. Broncos are finding different ways to create opportunities for him. He's 9th in catches among running backs. He's 13th in receiving yards. He's tied for the NFL lead with 4 receiving touchdowns. So lead among running backs, that is. Again, the key, though, is that you're able to move him around the formation to create matchups like the one we just saw. So as of this point in the season, 10 weeks in, RJ Harvey is playing a position other than running back 23% of the time. So he's either wildcat quarterback, which he's done for a couple snaps, playing the slot, out wide, tight end, whatever it may be. That's a pretty significant chunk of the snaps. Let's look at how that compares to some of the more well-known Jokers across the NFL. Kenneth Gainwell of the Steelers at 36%, Devon Achane of the Dolphins, 27%, Bijan Robinson at 23%, Christian McCaffrey only 14%, which is kind of surprising. But the way the Broncos are deploying RJ is in line with how you see Jokers across the league deployed. If we look back at Sean's history with Jokers, then we can see that it really does fall in line. We'll start with Reggie Bush, the first Joker that Sean had as a head coach back in 2006. That was his first year. He's a rookie, first-round draft pick. 34% of his snaps were lined up somewhere other than at running back. Again, you have 25%, 21%, 20%, 26%. It's very consistently around that range where you see RJ Harvey this season. After Reggie Bush leaves, you see Darren Sproles jump into the role in 2011, 36%, 33%, 32%. Why are these higher? Well, because Darren Sproles was a more limited player. Very, very good as a Joker. You could split him out, do all these different things with him. But if you were lining up with a fullback, you probably didn't want to see Darren Sproles running between the tackles too often. So that's why you see a higher percentage of these Joker positions. It's not because he was used differently or because there was a different philosophy. It was just because you couldn't or you didn't want to use him as much between the tackles. Alvin Kamara, you see, year one, we got 34%, then 26, then 20, then 22%, 24%. Very consistently, again, in that same range where RJ Harvey lives. Now, just for fun, we're going to compare Christian McCaffrey, which was probably the most well-known Joker of this era. 27, 11, 11, 15, 9, 16, 20, 12, 14. Never quite used as extensively as a Joker as you'd think, other than that first year. And it might explain some of the injuries he had early before going to San Francisco, where the Joker percentage doubled or so. Okay, so the next step is, for RJ, you need to be able to be productive between the tackles, because that's how you wind up getting those snap counts out. And that's the piece that's kind of missing from his game. We'll look through the numbers here. When you run the A gaps, RJ is averaging 5.5 yards per carry, a very good mark. B gaps, 2.4, 1.5 in the C gaps, 5.4 in the D gaps. So you see in the A gaps, something's working. And when you bounce it outside, something else is working. Now, of the 50 carries that RJ Harvey has this season, 2 of them have been double-digit gains. It's not quite as many as you'd want, but those were pretty big gainers with a 40-yarder and a 50-yarder. One was through the A gap, one was through the D gap. That's what skews those numbers a bit. You take those out, and all of a sudden we go back to the same chart. You see 2.9 yards per carry in the A gaps, 2.4 in the B gaps, 1.5 in the C gaps, 3.3 in the D gaps. So again, you're most productive when you're bouncing outside with a little bit of limited production and the runs up the middle. Overall, this isn't quite good enough. You need to see more, but we've seen that the Broncos are really trying to deploy him on the edge where he has a little bit more space. We're going to take a look now at a couple different plays. The first one from J.K. Dobbins. This is what you want to see more of from R.J. Harvey. So J.K., he gets the ball, and you see a couple of different gaps here. You see, okay, you could just plow straight ahead and try to go get something. There's a little crease there. You have some numbers. That'd be somewhat of like a rookie move. Now, a veteran would say, let's bounce this over here because Quinn's going to go make this block, and then all of a sudden we have a bigger run through this gap. Now, what does a genius level running back do? He doesn't take this one. He doesn't take this one. He steps one this way, sits here, waits for Trey Hendrickson, I believe that is, to overplay this gap before he bounces all the way around the outside, and he's going to be into some space here for a decent gain. That's the kind of really exceptional vision that makes J.K. Dobbins special, that makes him super productive between the tackles. So far from RJ, you've seen flashes of that, but you see those flashes when there's just a little bit more space to work with. So this is going to be a crack toss. It's a play that the Broncos love. You get Pat Bryant taking out the defensive end, and you're going to have RJ come around the outside. So Pat does just enough to create this lane, and then you've got a man for each defender. You have to like that. So he's going to work his way up through here. Now, could he bounce this outside? Probably, because again, you look at the leverage. That's where Marvin Mims has the leverage. He's pushing this guy back inside. There's a big lane that way. What does RJ do? Well, he plows straight ahead because he's just so fast it doesn't matter. He can blow right by that guy and then bounce it outside. Works out just fine. He's into space. And then he's into the end zone. It's a great play from RJ, but it does show that where he really thrives is where his speed can be the defining factor of a run. Whereas for JK, it's the patience and the vision that makes him a really productive runner. When RJ's at his best, it's his speed that kind of flashes. Like I said, it's the explosive runs for RJ that are kind of carrying him at this point as a runner. The efficiency isn't quite there yet. So I pulled up every Broncos running back this century, this past 25, 26 years, who has run the ball at least 100 times for the Broncos, and then just sorted them by yards per carry. So yards per carry at 4.3 for RJ, he ranks right in the middle of the pack. There's nothing wrong with what he's doing there. Again, it's the explosives they're carrying him, though. When we change the sort to success rate, then all of a sudden he drops down, his 34%, worst of any of these running backs. So again, what's going on here? To be clear, the success rate on first down, to consider a successful run, you have to get half of the yards to gain. So on 1st and 10, you got to pick up 5 yards. You call that a success. Second down, you got to get 75%. Third down, fourth down, you have to get to the sticks for it to be considered a successful run. Because RJ just has a couple too many busts, he's not quite seeing those lanes yet. You're seeing him at the bottom of this table. So as of now, where does RJ stand? He's playing very, very well as a joker running back. Not only just catching passes out of the backfield, but lining up in different places and allowing Sean Payton to take advantage of all these mismatches that he can create. That's exciting. And that's the stuff that's really hard to find. It's also what makes a running back a perfect fit for Sean Payton. And that's what RJ is. Now, what you need to see is for him to be more productive when, you're just trying to run inside zone or duo and just go straight ahead and take advantage of what the offensive line gives you. That's still a work in progress. And I've talked to RJ about this. I talked to him about JK in particular and how JK sees the vision. RJ's still working. He's learning. And that's going to come along. But as of now, he's filling the role that the Broncos need, because as long as they have J.K. Dobbins between the tackles, what they need is a joker, and R.J. Harvey is that joker.
We all silly like the mayor.